This.
Or this.
This.
Or this.
This.
Or this.
This.
Or this.
We just got back from traveling and living full-time in this van, and now we're living full-time in this tiny house. In today's video, we're gonna show you the differences in living in these two very unique small spaces. And at the end, we're gonna tell you which one we prefer. And I don't know if Cody and I agree on this one.
Before we tell you guys which tiny space we prefer to live in full time, we're gonna tell you the realities and show you the differences of these two very tiny spaces.
Starting off with the bathrooms, which includes the shower, our getting ready area, and the toilet. First, the shower, I have to mention it has in the tiny house mostly unlimited hot water, so that's a bonus point. However, size-wise, the shower in the van is much larger if you take the toilet out.
Yeah.
Moving over to the getting ready area, which in the tiny house is the sink bathroom area. We have a lot of storage underneath, which technically isn't enough, so minus points for the tiny house. I do have to hide our, like, Cody's shaving stuff, my makeup, that kind of stuff under, which definitely shows. In the van, it has so many hidden storage, like everything is behind a door, so you don't have to see everything all the time. However, we have a fully functioning toilet in the tiny house. So I think just because of that, dumping a pee jug and cleaning out the solids, I have to say is my least favorite thing about van life, I think.
What doing?
Just dump the pee jug. So 1 point for the tiny house.
So that brings us to the kitchen. I spend a lot of time in the kitchen. I absolutely love cooking, and I truly did love the kitchen in the van. Although there are some pros and cons for sure. Essentially, because this is such a small gas top stove, I really only had one pan to play with. The second one, the heat would get pushed towards the backsplash. We were always worried about kind of melting that. And realistically, you can't fit two pans side to side. But the good thing about the van is there's so much storage. Like, we could hide all of our food and everything up here, our plates, like our blender, the air fryer, everything was underneath. So we really did have clean countertops quite a bit. In the tiny house, as you can see, there's just stuff that ends up on the countertops because there's just not a lot of storage. So I don't know, this one's really a toss-up, but the tiny house has an oven. There were points on the road where we were like making a list of things that we wanted to bake as soon as we got back in the oven. So I don't know. I love the van's kitchen. I loved the countertops. This is exactly what I wanted for a van kitchen. But I still gotta give the point to the tiny house. Just so much more room, and having that oven, I missed it.
Before I start talking about how great storage is in the tiny house, as a reminder, it wasn't like this before we left in the van. We did not have a bedroom, so storage was limited. AKA, storage was just this closet, which is about 8 inches. Now, in the bedroom though, we have a ton of storage. Come on. Starting off with under the bed. If you guys haven't already, we do a full kind of tour of our new bedroom and storage solutions in the bedroom in our last video. We'll leave it here?
Yeah.
Maybe here?
No.
Here.
Yeah.
But just as a peek, the bed has 3 massive drawers for all of our clothes. We honestly don't even know what to do with them. We have not that much stuff. So, and then I personally have my own hanging wardrobe. And on the other side is just like little tchotchkes, socks, undies, things like that. But in the van, there is just one hanging closet. When we left, I always said I loved the storage in the van better because we didn't have all of this. Now, I think I like the tiny house better, so 1 more point for the tiny house.
So up next is the bed. This bed is the biggest bed we've literally ever had in our relationship, in our marriage. This is right in between a king and a queen. It's almost a king, but it's not as wide. And this is obviously in bed mode. It does go back into couch mode, which allowed us to have the dinette. That was something super important to us. We really wanted to be able to eat together and have that table space. But this is like a memory foam mattress. We really, really loved it. And Cliff's bed, literally, we just bring it up into the bed with us and it would fit down by our feet. We had so much room and the windows would open. So we'd have the nice fresh air coming right down beside our bodies towards the front of the van. I don't know. I think a point to the van bed. It's so big. It was so nice. I loved the firmness of it. And having the windows, you could wake up, you're in a new spot every day. Not all glorious. We did wake up in a lot of Cracker Barrels. But it was so nice. I think this deserves a point for the van.
Lastly is our office space, which again is new to us. It used to be in the living room, but now it is up in the loft. Come on. In the van, our office consisted of trying to find a place to safely park for a full day, and we would either work inside and share our little coffee table, or one of us would sit in the bed on couch mode, or we'd sit outside, which was so nice when we had a space. However, having a space like this, where you're kind of away from your living area, we have a desk. We also have like a comfy, cozy love sack to sit in if we're not feeling like being in desk mode. I think one more point for the tiny house.
For sure. So that's the differences in the physical spaces between the tiny house and the van. But there are just some other things. There's some other pros and cons that that don't have to do with the space, but more just the lifestyle.
What would you say some of your pros are for van life?
I mean, waking up in a new place essentially every day, the way we did it for 10 months, was unlike anything else I've ever experienced.
Yeah, I was gonna say something similar, like just like pushing ourselves out of our comfort zones. We both grew up in Maine and never really left the state, so being able to just learn new things and, like I said, go somewhere that's a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That's definitely a pro.
Yeah, like we had both vacationed outside of the state, but like to really get out there on your own and do it was, I don't know, just something totally different. And with that, you don't really have like rent or utilities, although you have diesel costs for us in the van and like parking if you wanted to do campgrounds, although we did a ton of Cracker Barrels. If you guys have been watching for a while, you know we loved our Cracker Barrel parking lots.
And lastly, I would say just like meeting new people.
Yeah.
We definitely wish that we had done more of it, but the people that we did meet while we were out on the road were just like high quality. We just love our experiences with the people we met out of state.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely some cons of the van. What would you say your cons are?
I would say the biggest one for both of us was just worrying about the van.
Big time.
It's one thing to like worry about your vehicle and just knowing that like there might be something wrong with my vehicle and just worrying about that. But when your vehicle becomes your home, it just adds a whole nother level of anxiety that I don't think either of us were prepared for.
And our van fought us before we left and hit the road. We had a ton of trouble. We even came back home to try to fix it after starting the trip. We made it all the way to Pennsylvania, had to drive it back without turning it off. So there was definitely some trust issues going on between us and the van. That was for sure my biggest one. I'm trying to think of what else.
I definitely struggled with leaving Cliff in the van. Like we just always worried people would think the AC wasn't on or just like anything about his safety. So it was really hard for us to do things that weren't dog friendly, like a lot of national parks. So just like the worrying for our pup was definitely high on the list, where here at the tiny house, he loves it and he feels so safe here.
Yeah, it does. And we already touched on it a little bit, but it was honestly a con for me. Van life, the way we did it, and again, you could do it a million different ways, was lonely. Like, we met some amazing people, but 90 something percent of the trip we were like on our own in unfamiliar places with no one we knew around. And after living in Maine and being near friends and family so often, that was definitely, I don't know, just really hard to get used to. And it's what made us crave coming back home and like being back on the compound with our friends and being near our families. So that was like a huge one for me.
It's the reason why we came back 2 months early. And I think like the last one, and when I say this, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, yeah, was the constant planning. Like there's no relaxing. Like we could be like, oh, the next 2 days in the tiny house, we're just going to be chill. But for the van, if we wanted to be chill for 2 days, we needed to find a place to do that.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that easy.
No. Like, wherever you sleep, again, you could go and stay at campgrounds.
Yes.
We didn't because that gets very expensive very quickly. So, like, we would stay in a Cracker Barrel parking lot, but then you don't want to be chilling in their parking lot all day, so then we'd have to go from there and go to a different parking lot or a park. Sorry, our light died. We're back. But yeah, we would sleep in a Cracker Barrel parking lot, and then we'd have to move out of their parking lot, go to a park, find somewhere to hang out for the day, and then either return to that Cracker Barrel, or if we've been there too many nights, find another place to go. So we're just constantly trying to find places to go, safe places to sleep. Cliff's coming to say hello. And so yeah, it was just a ton of mental energy that you're constantly thinking about. Where do we go? Is this going to be safe? All that kind of stuff. So yeah, that really weighed on us after months of travel.
And just like planning, especially for YouTube, there was just a lot of planning.
A lot of planning. Lots of planning.
But anyways, moving on to the tiny house. What are some of your pros for the tiny house?
I think what brought us back here is our sense of community. It's amazing. Like, we have tried like living with friends in college and that kind of stuff, and you really have to have the right people, but for us, we got super lucky, and we truly have family and our friends that surround us. It's so nice to be able to help each other out and help with the dogs and all that kind of stuff. So truly living on the compound, I know that's kind of unique to us, but for living in the tiny house, but having the space, having the yard, all that kind of stuff is such a pro.
Yeah. I mean, like Cody said, we live on a compound with everyone. So that, again, that's my favorite too. But I think now that we have the bedroom, I love having a bedroom. I just like love having all that space and just like, it just feels like a little getaway. Before that, we were either sitting in the living room, which the couch really only fits one person. So Cody would sit at his desk, which he did all day anyways. So I love just having some extra space.
Yeah, and with that and with moving the bedroom, we were able to move the office upstairs. So having a space to go work in, it's new to us, but I'm absolutely loving that. Like, in the van, obviously, again, it's one big room. So we were sitting where we eat and where we cook and where we sleep. So it's so nice now to have an office space here to be able to go up to work and then kind of come down and relax. So that's another massive pro for me.
I think another pro is just having the mental space to be able to plan for our future. I think for so long, all we could think about was planning for the van trip. And then when we were on the van trip, it was planning where are we going to go next and things like that. So now we're finally able to like talk about our dreams for the future, which is so fun. We've never allowed ourselves to get that far with our future planning. So I would think that's like a big one too.
For sure.
Yeah.
Cons, pretty small list, I think.
Yeah. I mean, like, I said this earlier, but for me, it's the storage, especially in the kitchen. I wish we had, like, more, like, or less exposed storage.
Yeah. If this is you guys' first time watching, we didn't build this tiny house and we don't own it. So this was built for someone to come in on the weekends and, like, take care of the horses on the property. So it was never meant to live in full time. We just took over the space and decided to live in it full time because it was offered to us, and we absolutely love it. But it wasn't intentionally built for full time living, so that's why a lot of the storage is exposed and there isn't a ton of it. But yeah, I mean, the storage now having the bedroom is way better, but before literally all we had was the hanging part of the closet, so that was super, super tough. Is there any other cons?
I don't know, I'm struggling.
Let me look at my list.
I mean, the cons are just like the opposites of the positives for the van. Like, we don't get to see something new every day.
Yeah.
Like, you kind of have to get into a routine, which we love a routine, but at the same time, we're not trying new coffee every day. We're not trying new food every day.
Yeah.
Great for our health, but like, that was so fun in the van.
It was. Sorry, another con on our list. Winters in Maine.
Oh.
Yeah. Like, just not ideal.
Yeah.
And then, like, winters in Maine in a tiny house with a dog is like a whole nother level. Like, so much snow and everything comes in through the door. So, yeah, definitely a con there, but it is what it is.
Yeah. So with all that said, what would you say is your favorite?
I mean, like, obviously, I think this answer is massively biased because we just came off from living in the van for 10 months straight. I love the tiny house. It has to be the tiny house for me. Like, we chose to come back from our van trip early because we missed having the routine. We missed having our community around us. We missed our oven. But yeah, for me, it would have to be the tiny house. And I just think, like, the van, for me, like, that kind of stage of life is over. We did it. It was a blast. It honestly feels like a crazy dream that we've had already. So I can't imagine how that will feel in many years to come. But my answer would be the tiny house.
Yeah. I don't regret doing the van trip. That was, like, that will forever be some of our favorite memories ever. However, I agree. I think the tiny house is way more comfortable to live in, and I just love it here. Yeah,
and again, it's with the bedroom. Like, adding the bedroom, it is so much more livable for us, again, because of the separation. We now have spaces here. I think my answer probably would have been very close if we came back and that wasn't added to the tiny house. Again, if you guys want to check out, we just did like a walkthrough of what it looks like now, but you can go back and look at our original tiny house tour. Yeah, I think that's made like a massive, massive change. It's really a game changer.
Yeah, I don't know if I would have been as excited to come home if we didn't have the expansion.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what I would have said.
I know. So, yeah, I think that's really it. Let us know what you guys would pick. Would you choose to live in a van for 10 or so months, or would you rather live in a really tiny space for 10 months?
Well, I'm excited to hear the answers.
I know. Definitely let us know what you think and kind of your reasons why, but that's going to do it for this one, guys. Please hit that like and subscribe button. We have a bunch more tiny house content that we're really, really excited to share with you guys. So subscribe, come along for the journey. We'll see you in the next one.
Cheers, guys.
Peace.